The Finnstown Castle Hotel Formula Boss Ireland Championship returned to Mondello Park for rounds 9 and 10 of its series after an exciting trip to Kirkestown at the end of August. The drivers were greeted with a very wet track for their qualifying session. Sylvie Mullins had increased his championship lead up north with his surprise last lap win in the Leinster Trophy race, while Fergus Faherty lost ground with an off-song engine. The sports car battle between Eamon Matheson and Tom Gaughran at the top of the Boss 1 Championship had narrowed to just 1 point. Tony Greenan had dropped out of what was a three-way battle after failing to score on his home turf. Aaron Gaughran's strong showing at the County Down circuit has moved him right into contention behind Fergus Faherty in the Boss 2 Championship for up to 2-litre cars. The wet weather qualifying was likely to favour the Formula 3 cars and cause upheaval throughout the whole field. We've only seen Shane Rabbitt on one other occasion this year, but he may have chosen a good one to come back out with the more modestly powered Renault.
Yeah, we picked the right weekend, but we picked the wrong tyres. Had a very old set of wets. We ran rock solid, just had zero grip out there and all. So luckily Brendan's done, thankfully has a set of new wets, so the lads have ran down to his place to pick them up and kind of switched them over and hopefully rectify the terrible qualifying we had.
With Gary Graham missing this weekend, it was nice to see someone flying the flag for the Formula Renaults.
You've got to keep some of the Renaults out there and have a go with some of the bigger cars. But starting last, the worst qualifying ever, so I can only go forward and I hope to go a good bit forward. And if the rain stays the way it is and a new set of wets, move forward is the plan.
In contrast to Shane, Eamon Matheson would be hoping that the weather would dry out so that he could get the vast power of the Jade down on the track. 12th on the grid would mean he was unlikely to be in that first corner mix to which he's so accustomed. His class championship rival would be right beside him on the grid and had found the qualifying exciting.
Yeah, okay, he had a couple of sketchy moments. Obviously getting power down is the main issue, but the tyres work well. It's just probably the power issue. I just never got more than 3/4 roll, so happy enough. I'll just have to work my way a bit harder in the races, so happy enough with that.
Tom had enjoyed the drier weather on the Ards Peninsula.
Yeah, enjoyed Kirkstown. It was having a great battle race, one with Eamon until we lost, the sensor lost oil pressure and took us in, so Brendan got it reset and out, but it was disappointing because in fairness I'm having a nice little fight with Eamon at the minute, so but that was a shame. But yeah, enjoyed it with too short a sixth gear up the back straight. We were in the red line at about the calf, little calf, so we'll work on that and see. So we'll fine tune it and do a bit. I mean, in fairness, Brendan's done a couple of alterations and improved the car, so it'll get improved, ready for next year.
The Gaughrans had sold the car that Aaron had been using to such great effect in recent races. The new owner had a difficult day to be learning a new car.
Yeah, well, it was qualifying there. The wets on, it didn't get on too great. I think the tyres are too old. We'll use that as an excuse anyhow.
He had proved himself well able to handle the Radical SR8 earlier in the year, but the Dallara F3 was a new experience for him.
I never drove a single seater before. Had it out here the other day on Friday and was very happy with the times. The times was actually quicker than it ever was in the Radical. So the Radical's taking the back seat at the minute, so we're probably going to sell it now.
Daniel Faherty, 9th on the grid, had a real adventure in qualifying.
Very slippy, was starting to get some grip, a bit more confidence. Pulled back from Fergus, let him go on ahead, so spray obviously wouldn't be hitting me. And then got a little bit brave and went down into the 290s and just braked and just going in a little bit quick and I just stepped out and I just couldn't pick it up. So Beach just couldn't get going again. Well, we got the race stopped and then we restarted the race and just took time to build back up the confidence again. But it did come back a little bit, but not as good as it was.
He had a survival plan for the afternoon if it remained wet.
I can do a few more laps, get more confidence back up again. And watch out for the puddles, of course.
Driving the GP2 in the rain for the first time, Paul O'Connell was having to build a wet weather setup from scratch.
It was tricky this morning, alright? Tricky in qualifying. I haven't run the car in the wet before. Very much a case of just trying a few different things. Tire pressures, no idea where we should be. So we're learning a bit, but it was pretty evil out there. There was many moments and many laps. So, we did our best. I was delighted to not spawn, brought the car home in one piece in tricky conditions. So, look, we'll just see how we get on for the race.
His other car, the Dallara F3, was probably ideal for the conditions, but he had lent it to Aaron Gaughran. Would Paul's perseverance with the GP2 be rewarded?
Delighted my other car, the spare car, is on pole. I told Aaron on Friday if it rains on Sunday we'll be on pole. So in fairness to him, he's done that. He seems to be really enjoying it, but definitely this morning was a day for the F3s anyway.
Roland Doherty was pleased to have removed his slicks in the morning to fit wets for the qualifying session.
Yeah, well, I suppose it puts the bigger cars a small bit slower and gives the slower cars a bit quicker, yeah. But I enjoy the wet anyway, always did, So.
Maybe he was putting a little bit of a positive spin on it. In fairness, they'd made great progress with throttle response in the car since the last race. He was delighted with this, even if it was a bit sharp in the wet.
But we've a bit of work done to the car since too. It's running a bit better, more power in it than the dyno, so she was very rich down low, so he's after changing it, so it's a bit easier to drive the car now actually. So there's something there every time you press the practice.
Michael Connolly had gone well in qualifying, by far the quickest sports car, putting it on the third row of the grid. His biggest challenge was catching cars during the qualifying session and running out of laps in the shortened session. With just 2 weeks since Kirkustown, it was a real challenge to get the engine swapped out on Fergus Faherty's car in time for the Mondello meeting.
We did an engine swap out from Kirkustown, which felt we're down on power, and we had another late like last night. We had to put a clutch in it last night as well. We finished at 10:30. But it's up and running, that's great. It's back up the way it should be.
He led the cars out in the qualifying session and probably suffered the worst from the standing water. The engine seems to be happily installed, and he's been enjoying some well-qualified advice between races.
So far so good, we can't complain. It's been ran by myself and my own two lads, Josh and Frank, and Keane has given me a bit of a dig out and a few tips. Keane Perry, which is, I think he's racing in Spa next weekend, so good shout out to Keane. I hope he has a great weekend. And obviously Shane as well, he's a mechanic. Thanks for all their help, it's been great.
Noel Robinson had joined the series in Kirkustown with 2 strong 5th place finishes. He was going even better in the wet.
Yeah, it was really wet. Our first time out in this car in the wet, so we're still learning. So there's more to come, so I'm really happy with that. We're in a good position. Hopefully it stays wet for this first race and we can give it a real go.
Feeling he could develop his wet weather performance even further, he was hoping for more.
It brings all the power differences down sort of onto an even keel, so it gives us more of a chance. Hopefully it stays. Even if it's greasy or damp for the first race, that would be great. If it dries out for the next one, then so great. But we'll see how it goes. So, it's went really well. We're happy with it, and we know there's more time there.
Sylvie Mullins was the most successful of the big power cars at getting that onto the road.
I suppose I haven't driven it in anger in the wet with good rubber before, so it took me a while to get used to it, but look, there's loads of grip. Every lap you'll be knocking loads of time, not hundredths but seconds, so yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm delighted I'm even up. I think I'm third at the minute, so yeah, I'm delighted.
This is the kind of consistency that it takes to win championships. He attributes the grip to the large wings.
We have, I suppose, the advantage today is the big wings, because it's actually glued to the track and the fast stuff today. I'm delighted with it, delighted, absolutely. And car's running fine. We've touched wood. We've had no trouble. A little bit of trouble, but it was only a spark plug on Friday. It's running lovely. It's running sweet.
Michael Roche had put in a strong performance in the north, and now in conditions he enjoys, he was on the first row of the grid.
Yeah, it was difficult conditions, all right now, but I was happy enough with the second. It was a good result. It's hard to see and hard to predict what the grip levels, but it's grand. I was happy enough with it now.
These F3s with their narrower tyres and excellent handling really cut through the rain well.
I suppose it suits the smaller powered cars in these conditions. It's easier for us to get the power down, but when it dries out now, probably we'll be past. It'll be hard to keep the guys behind us, but we'll do our best.
Aaron Gaughran found himself with a surprise drive in Paul O'Connell's F3 Dallara after the one he had been using was sold.
Yeah, to be fair, I know I'm delighted to be up there. Chuffed to get pole. Happy days, my first ever pole. So thankfully the rain came for me. I was hoping for it, but we'll see what happens. To be fair, God knows. I think if it stays raining, we'll have a good chance. If it dries up, God knows what's going to happen. But either way, it's going to be an interesting race.
He He was clearly testing the car to the limit in qualifying, but Paul had ordered him to put it on pole if it rained.
It's Paul's car. I didn't know what I was driving this weekend until Friday, till we arrived for testing. So between Paul and my dad, I think they somehow summed up that they were putting me in this. So to be fair, I'm just happy as Larry, because Thursday gone, sure, I thought I had no car, I wasn't driving anything as far as I knew. So happy days. I can't moan. Delighted that we're in that. The car is very competitive, very different to my old car, which is. It's hard to get my head around in some ways how they're so different, because you think they're two F3s, they're going to be very similar, but no. Happy out, man. Can't complain. I'm chuffed, absolutely delighted.
And rightly so, in his first event in a new car, and he's topped the timesheets. As the cars head out on their warm-up lap, we see that the rain has gone, the track has dried, and there's going to be a strong surge from behind in the opening laps of the race. Third on the grid and over by the wall, Sylvie Mullins may find himself trapped at the early stages of the race. Paul O'Connell may find more space on the outside. Eamon Matheson and Jonathan Fildes, who missed qualifying, are also in good positions to come through early. The track may be dry, but the temperature is probably still quite low, so you can see that the drivers are really keen to warm their tyres. Fergus Faherty doing a straight line burnout. Connolly goes for the straight line approach too. Roland Doherty does a bit of weaving. O'Connell pulling up the gears. Does look like brand new tyres there on Daniel Faherty's car. Tony Greenan looks like he's minding his new steed. Tom Gaughran and Eamon Matheson should have an interesting start. And Shane Rabbitt didn't get the rain he was hoping for. Aaron Gaughran really wants to make the most of his first ever pole position. Michael Roche will be hoping to make the most of his familiarity with his own car, and could have a good line for the first corner despite being on the outside, especially if he can be late on the braking for turn 1. Sylvie isn't taking any risks with his transmission. Issues with the new wiring harness had detained Jonathan Fildes in the garages just to the last minute. He's putting in a quick lap just to make it to the grid on time. He's given time to settle in, and the race begins. Michael Roche gets off fantastically out into the lead. Noel Robinson has a look past Aaron Gaughran. Eamon Matheson has taken about half a dozen cars off the line. Tom Gaughran must have stalled. Coming out of turn 1, Michael Roche has made a good lead. Aaron Gaughran is holding off Noel Robinson. Paul O'Connell has made it up to 5th. Jonathan Fildes has also launched himself into the middle of the pack beside Eamon Matheson. Michael Connolly is slowing there, and Tom Gaughran is already getting himself back into the race. Back in towards the paddock, Michael Roche has made good ground. Aaron still defending against Noel Robinson, and Paul O'Connell goes around the outside of Sylvie Mullins. Shane Rabbitt is well ahead of Daniel Faherty, and Tom Gaughran is closing on the two of them. Michael Connolly is pulled in. Roche continues to lead on lap 1, but O'Connell is up to 2nd, followed by Aaron Gaughran, Robinson, Mullins, Fergus Faherty, Fildes, Matheson, Doherty, Greenan, Rabbitt, Tom Gaughran and Daniel Faherty. Michael Roche has had a superb first lap. But Paul O'Connell has climbed very rapidly from 8th to 2nd. Look, Robinson's having a really late braking on Aaron Gaughran there. Tony Greenan has a look past Doherty, but Roland has the line. O'Connell chasing Roche down the main straight. Third, Aaron Gaughran, and Sylvie Mullins up to 4th. Behind them, Tom Gaughran has left his braking too late. He's gone off across the gravel trap. Back at the line, Greenan takes Doherty. I'm pretty sure Tom's okay, but there may be some damage to the car. He's brought out the yellow flags because he's well and truly beached. Luckily this is the first lap, so the rescue crew is quickly on scene. Meanwhile, Paul O'Connell has passed Michael Roche. Aaron Gaughran has dropped back. Sylvie Mullins is up to 3rd. Noel Robinson 4th. Fergus Faherty 5th. Jonathan Fildes 6th. Eamon Matheson 7th. Tony Greenan 8th. And there's Aaron 9th, with Roland Doherty right behind. Shane Rabbitt slows because we see that the safety car is going to come out. They'll have a long wait while the field completes the international section of the track. Tom Gaughran is pulled to safety as the entire field approaches. Michael Roche finds himself between two very powerful cars. This was very swift work by the emergency crews. On the right of the screen you can just see Eamon Matheson going into the pit lane there. Jonathan Fildes too. They complete lap 2 and are about to approach the safety car. Noel Robinson really swinging to get temperature in those tyres. The safety car has picked them up and will only need to take them to the end of this lap. Recapping the positions, Paul O'Connell leads Michael Roche, Sylvie Mullins, Noel Robinson, Fergus Faherty, Tony Greenan, Aaron Gaughran, Roland Doherty, Shane Rabbitt and Daniel Faherty. Eamon Matheson returns to the track, but there's no sign of Jonathan Fildes. At the end of lap 3 the safety car pulls into the pit lane. The rev soars, the entire field builds itself back up to speed once more. Mullins times it perfectly to overtake Roche just as they pass the green flag. But coming out of turn 1, Roche has second, back again. Behind them, Faherty noses ahead of Robinson, but Noel has a quicker line. Tony leads Aaron with his old car, and Shane Rabbitt looks like he's closing in on Roland Doherty. Paul O'Connell leads the race. Michael Roche is still managing to hold off the advances of Sylvie Mullins. Coming out of Tarzan 2, Paul O'Connell has already developed quite a lead. And behind we see that Sylvie Mullins is now up to second. Michael Roche leads a pack of no less than 6 Dallara F3s. Shane Rabbitt with the Formula Renault has split Daniel Faherty's car from its brethren. Paul has a big head start on Sylvie, but can Mullins catch him? Noel Robinson has ideas about Michael Roche's position, but he has missing bodywork. Aaron Gaughran challenges Fergus Faherty down the straight, and we see that Noel Robinson is having to pull in with that damage. Daniel Faherty moves up to 9th. With this car you simply can't let Paul O'Connell get away like that. Mullins is in a great position for his championship campaign. Roche the best of the F3s. Fergus Faherty under continued pressure from Aaron Gaughran, and Tony Greenan is close behind them too. A lot of cars just have to slow and throttle through the next corner, but Paul O'Connell approaches at such speed he has to brake hard. In the distance we see Tony Greenan making a big move on Fergus Faherty. Aaron Gaughran has already passed him. So that's Roche 3rd, Gaughran 4th, Greenan 5th and making a move, but he could lose that position again to Fergus Faherty 6th if he's not careful. Michael Connolly returns to the track. There could still be a few points to be picked up. Aaron Gaughran looks like he could be chasing down Michael Roche. Serious battle could be emerging for 3rd place. There'll definitely be a fight for 4th. Tony Greenan has great pace on the straight. He's really challenging Aaron at the start of lap 6. Roland Doherty hasn't quite lost touch with this pack. He's really found pace. O'Connell laps Matheson coming into Tarzan 1. The Jade actually showed it could hold its own against the GP2 car on the long straights in Kyrgyzstan. Mullins in a very secure 2nd place, and Roche has made some safety from the 4th place challengers. Greenan resists a move on Gaughran here, knowing that Fergus would be quick to fill his position should he have to return to it. Faherty reminds him that he has to look back just as much as he looks forward. But suddenly Tony Greenan's car slows. Fergus Faherty takes his 5th and Roland Doherty moves up to 6th. Fergus is inspired to attack Aaron now. That's a very defensive line from Aaron, and a few sparks for good measure. Fergus is an expert in working this final corner at Mondello. He goes the outside this time for the inside on the straight. But Paul O'Connell's spare car seems to have the speed to hold off Faherty. I think Roland has closed on them, however. Paul O'Connell in his 4000cc GP2 Dallara leading on lap 8. Sylvie Mullins in his 4000cc Gould second. Michael Roche with half their engine capacity third in the 2000cc Dallara F3. Behind him, Fergus Faherty has moved up to fourth ahead of Aaron Gaughran. O'Connell completes lap 8. Further back the lap, Aaron Gaughran hasn't fully surrendered the position to Fergus Faherty yet. Aaron crosses the line in Fergus's slipstream. Sixth position would be Roland Doherty's best finish in Boss so far. Eamon Matheson is down a lap, so that's Shane Rabbitt in 7th. Michael Connolly is also down a number of laps after time in the pits, as Paul O'Connell on our last lap now approaches. Championship leader Sylvie Mullins in 2nd place. Michael Roche 3rd. And this battle for 4th place between Faherty and Gaughran is really important, as Aaron came here just 3 points behind Fergus, but it looks like Aaron was slowing there. Roland Doherty 6th. Shane Rabbitt 7th. He doesn't have to worry about Matheson on a different lap. There'll be no late challenges in this race. The flag falls on Paul O'Connell's first Mondello win in the GP2 Dallara. Michael Connolly claims a 10th place finish after troubles earlier. Sylvie's Judd F1 engine Gould screams down to the line to claim an important 2nd place. Aaron Gaughran has dropped back significantly from Fergus Faherty as they approach the final corner. Michael Roche takes 3rd and 1st in the Boss 2 category. Fergus Faherty 4th. Aaron Gaughran 5th. Roland Doherty gets that 6th. And Shane Rabbitt 7th. Eamon Matheson is a lap down, but finishes 9th and gets a significant points haul over Tom Gaughran, who crashed out in their class battle. Daniel Faherty comes in 8th, rebuilding his confidence after spinning in the qualifying session. Paul O'Connell will be relieved to have moved on from that disastrous last lap spin in the Leinster Trophy race. He has returned to his winning ways. There's a little bit of cleaning up to do after round 9 of the Formula Boss Ireland Championship. Michael Roche looks back at a great start.
Great start, yeah, good. Got a good right start, and then Paul, of course, passed me. But unfortunately, safety car came out there. I'm not sure why, but everybody closed up, and then I just had no hope against Sylvie after that. But no, still grand, happy enough with it. Nice 3rd place there, finished ahead of the 3 lads in the 2 in class. So that's as much as I could hope for, you know what I mean? So maybe a bit of rain in the 2nd race over the hill.
Sylvie Mullins was a bit boxed in at the beginning of his race.
The bad start, got blocked a little bit. And by the time I got out, then I couldn't catch up. It was just you need to be on Paul's wing, whatever chance you have, you know, because the cars are very much equal speed-wise. So if he gets any bit of a gap, it's very difficult to get.
That's 2 wins on 2 different tracks already for Paul O'Connell's GP2 Dallara.
We made a few changes to the car as well, to be fair, after the wet qualifying, which was a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. So yeah, had a great start from 8th in the grid. Just launched, his car just actually gripped for the first time in 3 months, actually gripped and went, and definitely the changes that we made worked a treat, and it was a delight to drive today, as opposed to testing on Friday. It was an evil car, spinning the wheels in every gear, but beautiful car to drive then this morning. So huge credit to the guys in Stone Motorsport and everyone else that's here giving us a hand today with a lot of good advice and some good engineering, and we've hopefully turned a corner with the car.
Michael Roche is on pole for the 2nd race, and Sylvie Mullins joins him on the front row, so Paul O'Connell mightn't have it so easy next time.